more on calculating body weight and determining the recommendation based on body weight. So on this example here, we are given an order of 225 milligrams by mouth every 6 hours for a child who weighs 67 pounds. We're given a recommendation dose of a child weighing less than 35 kilograms. So we need to make sure it meets this before we even go any further. So let's do that. Let's calculate. We got 67 pound child. And I know that for every 1 kilograms, it is 2.2 pounds. So let's solve. I got 67 divided by 2.2 gives me, and we got to round to the nearest tenths, 30.5 kilograms. Now, guys, if you're really doing just a recommendation calculation, we would not round the patient's weight at all, because we want to get as close to accurate as possible, because you don't want to give them not enough, but you don't want to give them too much medication. But in this particular question, it literally asks you, give me the child's weight first. So we have to round based upon the rules of rounding. Okay, so let's determine the recommendation. And again, in the real world, I would have used the whole entire decimal, or as much of it as I could, at least out to 5 or 7 decimal places. Okay, so let's determine the recommendation for a minimum daily dosage for this child. All right, so it did check, it met this requirement, and I'm going to finish reading then. Let's change this to this one. It says we have a minimum of 17.5 to 27 milligrams per kilogram per day. It says by mouth, equally divided doses every 6 hours. All right, so we are on a good track. So let's take our 30.5 kilograms. I'm going to put it over one patient. That's just for me. You don't have to do that. I'm going to multiply it by the minimum, which is 17.5 milligrams per kilogram per day. So I noticed that the kilograms reduced. Yay, that's what we wanted. So now we got 30.5 times 17.5 says per day it's going to be 533.75 milligrams. Okay. Now, the next one says minimum single dosage. So I'm going to take the 533.75 milligrams per day, and I'm going to go back up here. It says equally divided doses every 6 hours. Okay, very good. I know, so if you need to come over here on the side, we know in 24 hours there is, okay, so let me say this a little differently. Every 24 hours, or so per 24 hours divided by 6 hours per dose says that we're going to have 4 doses in one day, meaning 6 hours happens 4 times in one day. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write in one day divided by 4 doses. I'm going to mark out my day. And now let's do this. So 533.75 divided by 4 gives me, and I'm going to round to the nearest hundreds, guys. So 133.44 milligrams per dose. Well, since the order is per dose, I'm going to focus on the minimum and maximum per dose to determine if the order is safe or not when we get to that. Next, let's go to maximum. This is maximum daily dose. So I'm going to take my patient of 30.5 kilograms and put it over 1 times the 27 milligrams per kilogram per day. I noticed that the kilograms reduced. I did what I was supposed to do as far as setting it up. And now we're going to have 30.5 times 27 gives me 8 to 3.5 milligrams per day. And the next one says maximum single dosage. So I'm going to take 823.5 milligrams per day. Again, we're going to apply this equally divided doses every 6 hours. I know that that is in one day, 4 doses. I'm going to mark out my days because they reduce. I didn't mean to mark the 1 out. That 1 times that 823 is just 823. So 823.5 divided by 4. It's going to, and I'm going to round to the nearest hundreds. This means this. Now I'm going to compare. Okay, I'm going to scroll. So if you need to pause this to write this stuff down, pause the video. But I'm going to scroll a little bit. The order is 225, so I'm going to write this down. So in order to determine if this is safe or not, we need the recommended minimum be less than or equal to the order, which is less than or equal to the recommended maximum. So the order is 225 milligrams. The minimum, right? It said because it is based on per dose, so that's the one we looked at. If the order was based on per day, we'd look at the per day one, okay? So the minimum recommended is 133.44 milligrams. And the maximum was or is 205.88 milligrams. Now remember, this is based on this child's weight, right? So when I come through here, I'm going to say, okay, and it's a yes or no, is the order, so look at it. Let me word it a little different. The way I was going to word it's correct, so I might confuse you. I don't want to do that. Is this recommended minimum less than or equal to the order? Well, yeah, it's less than, so yes, yes, yes. So that part's true. Is the order, is this order here less than or equal to the recommended? Oh, no, this is not true because the order is greater than. So this is not safe. And let me explain to you why it's not safe. The order, let's state it, the order is not safe because the order, and you can word this differently if you want, is greater than the recommended, scroll, and let me correct some notation guys. The order is greater than, and if you wanted to, you could use this sign, the recommended maximum safe dose. This tells me that the patient could be overdosed, right? Because you're giving them way more than is recommended, so they're getting overdosed. This is really serious. I want to take a step back. I want to tell you something. If the order was less than, if it was less than the recommended minimum, then that means the order is not safe because they're not getting enough medicine. So the patient is not getting well. Okay? Thank you.